What's going on? And welcome back to my channel, Joe Zaccardelli. Today we're going to be doing something just a little bit differently. It's going to be pertaining to watches, pocket watches, wristwatches, but we're going to be talking about a very key element to pocket watch collecting, trading, selling, buying, working on. And what a buddy of mine and I started talking about is if we had to go back and do it all over again. What 3 books would we immediately go out and get that would benefit us the most? Today I'm going to go over what 3 books I would buy if I was getting into this hobby as a collector, trader, and tinkerer. I'm gonna go ahead and do these 3 books like I'm doing pocket watches, wristwatches, and working on both. Now, I think I could do a couple other series, and let me know in the comments below what you think and what you would like to hear. The list would be different if I was doing it just for wristwatches collecting, if it was just for wristwatch working on, if it's just for pocket watch collecting, if it's just for pocket watch working on, or if it's solely for collecting purposes. There would be top 3 for each of those categories. For this series, we're gonna be working, collecting both pocket watches and wristwatches. So, before we get into this, please, I need your help. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and as always, hit that notification bell so you will always be up to date on what's going on in this channel. Okay, welcome back. Let's get into it. Now, the first of the 3, in no particular order, that I would recommend getting is the complete price guide to watches. Now, this one will deal with both pocket watches and wristwatches. It does say the prices, but there is so much more value to this book than the prices. And as you can see, this one is a 2016. I think that was the last one I bought. I also have a 2014 and 2013, 2012. Now the prices don't change, but there is little nuggets that they do put in the older ones that do get taken out of the newer ones and vice versa. Obviously the best way to know the prices is Chronos 24, eBay, auction houses. We get a real current state of what the value is. However, the value to this book is the information in it. If you want to be knowledgeable, an inch deep and a mile wide, this is your book in all things wristwatches and pocket watches. Let me show you what I mean by that. Now we go to our first example, and I could go page per page in this book, but I'm not going to, because we could get into a series of each of these books and break it down, and different things, different books and sites that we could go to just pertaining to each one of this information that we're gonna go over. Now, if you wanna know what a pocket watch, how it's adjusted, here's all the examples of how they do it. Stem down, stem up, stem left, stem right, dial up, dial down. And then they go into talking about how it gets into the temperature and how a railroad watch became a railroad watch. Next up, very, very important. Do you know your solid gold marks? Do you know your gold filled marks? All cases you need to identify, because are you dealing with a solid gold case? Or are you dealing with a gold filled case? Your silver marks. And there's books on just how to read these gold filled marks for American, Swiss watches. So very useful knowledge to have. Now, getting into this as a hobbyist, as a tinkerer, here it starts breaking down the movement identification so you can talk. Do you have this part? Do you have the center wheel? Do you have the barrel bridge? And it gets into actually what they call everything, so it really helps you learn what every part is called. Now, if you get a movement, you can't identify it, you can go here and figure out who made it. Was it Ball? Was it Hamilton? Was it Hampton? When you're going through this watch and you're like, well, I don't know what a GF is. Well, that's gold filled. I don't know what a GT is. That's a gold train. If you don't know what a PS means, it means a pendant set. All here, page 101, it is different in a couple different years. It tells you everything that they are giving you examples of. We'll flip to this Hamilton right here. It says 17 jewel, 3/4. That means 3/4 plate. It's adjusted in 3 positions. It's a double roller, meaning what type of balance staff is in there. And it comes in an 18 karat gold case, and it's a honey case, the HC. Now, as a collector, here is how you know a lot of the cases, what it's called. This is a case model A. This is a BOC, or bar over crown. Case model number 2. Case number 5. One of my favorites is a case model number 7. And then they even show you some of the different dials on here. Just all very useful and helpful. Right here, this is under the Rockford section, and what it shows you is different types of hands and what they're called. You got heavy spades, open diamond, double hour, crossbar diamond. And then right here we have, if people are interested in Fusée and Verge pocket watches, here's an illustration on what styles they were and how to figure out how old that watch is. Now we're gonna go a little bit further into this book, and look at this. We even have chronographs. We have all types of watches, but it breaks down the chronograph parts, what they are called, as you can see right here. We have Swiss code initials. So if you're wondering what an L, X, W is on the balance, it means it's Longines. I mean, you just have all this type of information and codes. The other great thing about these is that, you know, you flip to something like an Elgin. We'll go with an Elgin. It tells you the Lord Elgin. It tells you 21 jewels. It tells you when it was made. Let's go to Omegas. And as you can see right here, it gives you almost the exact size of the watch, so you can match it up, just lay it over, but it will tell you roughly it's a 17 jewel. The caliber that it is, it's a 620, and it was made in 1960s. It was a 14 karat gold model. If it came out in different models, it would usually list it. And then the nice thing is you go at the end of this Omega section and you will see all the different movements, so you can kind of match it up. Rolex gives you the different calibers. It will tell you, what the reference is, the jewels, when it was made. Then you get to more great information with the watch terminology. Are you wanting to understand the terminology of pocket watches, wristwatches, their tools, the things on them, bow, the ring that is looped at the pendant to which a chain or fob is attached, if anyone wants to know what a bow is. It's all alphabetized and just shows you how complicated these watches really are. All right, so recommendation number 1 is The Complete Guide to Watches. Wonderful book. Number 2 is the Illustrated Manual of American Watch Movements. Now, this is most of this has to do with pocket watches. The other key information to know about this book is that this has to do with pocket watches or wristwatches from American companies that was made 1952 or older. If it was newer than 1952, the information isn't here. Plus, they don't have all of the movements in every single one of these brands. So let's go to the first page of an example right here. This is wonderful because this is the actual size to the parts that are needed for this 18 size Illinois 4th, 5th, and 6th model. And all you have to do is line up your part or find a part from a supply house, a friend, a donor movement, match it up to here, make sure it works, boom, you're off and running. I have right here a Hamilton 992B that is taken apart. Here is the hour wheel, and what you do is you set it down here, and the part number 668, set it right here. Even the teeth line up. It is absolutely amazing. Right here we have the ratchet wheel, and as you can see, it is part number 669 for the 16 size Hamilton grade 992B, and we set it right here and it lines up perfectly. So once again, you're calling the supply house, you're calling eBay, talking to a friend. It is a wonderful tool to have. Now in here you have Hamilton, Elgin, Illinois, South Bend, but that is very limited in here. The South Bend is only like 2 pages and it only does a 16 size. Waltham, Howard is very limited as well. this is the gem of this book. It is for the mainsprings. And when you're talking about older pocket watches, the great thing is you can figure out what models certain mainsprings are made for, but it also tells you the width, the thickness, and the length in inches. And some of the early pocket watch mainsprings, you can interchange them from Hamilton to Elgin to Rockford to Illinois, to Waltham especially, because a lot of the T-bars will fit in other pocket watches. They all use similar length, thickness, width. Very helpful. I still use this to this day. When finding parts, it does tell you what catalog part it is, and you can go through your supply and find it. So there it is. The second book that I recommend is the Illustrated Manual of American Watch Movements. Last but not least, we had a book for pocket watches. Now we need a book for wristwatches. And this one is the Best Fit 111 Encyclopedia. Okay, just like this book of pocket watches, it's 1952. This one has the same pitfalls for movements. It's 1961, I believe, and older. So anything 62 and newer is not going to be in here, but this will help you a great deal if you love vintage chronographs, alarms, calendars, wristwatches, because just about both American and Swiss will be in this book. Now, some of the highlights of this book. Why would I want it? Well, first off, we turn this page, and if you can't tell, I have used this book quite a bit. Here is the factory name and symbol index for each company. The shield with the L in it is a Landrin. Piece of bread with the F in it is Falsa, and it just goes on and on of what the symbols are and how to know what watch you are working with. Now, here is a very common wristwatch to collect, to buy, to sell, to trade. It's an ETA. Right here, we have all the different calibers, the lines of it, so it's how big the diameter is, the movement interchangeability, which means you can switch out from either a caliber 545 or an ETA 361, and you can get the same parts off of them. Tells you the mainspring measurements, mainspring number is, your pallet arbors, roller tables, balances, hands, very helpful. And then we go to our identification. Let's stick with Omega. Omega will have, here's a cool thing about this. It's saying, here's an 11.5 line, Omega 505, very popular movement, 24 jewel automatic, and it has this sweep second right here. It shows you all the exact sizes and the part numbers of this watch. Well, you're saying, hey, I don't need the automatic works. I need an hour wheel from it. I need something else that's on the watch. Well, it will tell you all other auto parts use the Omega 470. The base model of this 505 is the 470. So you go back to the 470 and it tells you all the parts, the sizes that you will need for the 470 that will interchange with your Omega 505. It's repetitive like that, and it goes through here and does that over and over and over. The other cool thing about this is we have all about the chronographs, and this is chronographs 1961 and older. For this one, we have an Angulus, and we are going to show you one of the parts that fits 100% in line with the image that is on it, so you know exactly what you have or you don't have. Just have to get it lined up properly, and right there we have our 8140 part. And if we don't know what our 8140 part is, let's go and look for the proper name of that part. 8140, it's the operating lever, and it looks identical to that. And as you can see, this is a very thick book. It has clocks in here, it has wristwatches in here, it has timers in here, it has chronographs in here, and it's all in here alphabetically. Also, the great thing about this is that if you do have a filing cabinet system, here it is, the Best Fit Master Staff System number 100. It tells you all the numbers of the parts that would be in the cabinet and what would be in that number envelope. And then we have number 200, you have the pallet arbor system. It just keeps going on and on with the hands. The mainsprings for both American and Swiss watches. This is very, very helpful to have. So these 3 books, yes, these 3 books I do still use all the time. What do you guys think? Did I hit the top 3 books if you were a pocket watch collector and hobbyist to work on it, a wristwatch hobbyist to work on it, and a collector trader? Which book would you have? Which book would you not have? Or would you agree 100% with what I'm saying as the first 3 to get you started in this amazing hobby? And if you are liking what you are seeing, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, Joe Zaccardelli. Hit that notification bell so you're always up to date. Share with other people so that maybe they can go out and get these books to help them in this great hobby. And as always, be on the lookout for mechanical art. The hunt is real. Until next time, see you later. Then the complete price guide to watches.
Daddy.
Yeah.
I heard your video.
You did? Was it good or not really?
Not really.